Boxing is spark, hark. Campus Marcius calls you through the dark. Hark, hark, hark. The republic for which we stand and its campus's system is ancient. It was revealed by the entire species following the same system, with the same method of revealing evolution's fruits and gifts and means out of nowhere by using the same identity of value progression. That inventions work or not in relationship to it, and they are further positive or negative in relationship to it. Even anything that could be invented or made up has its 3 points of possession inseparable from itself. All exceptions in exception nature are in demonstration of the same thing, even when it appears other, as we examine through the YouTube videos of Anthony Wall vaccines. So here you are. Just tighten my shorts boxing reports to the people all. Just stand up, don't fall. So we move. If you get hit, that's all. So, YouTube boxing, shadow boxing is not just for boxers, not just for people in martial arts. YouTube shadow boxing videos shadow boxing is a great fitness exercise, especially for women. Women don't realize the benefits of shadow boxing, and you don't have to do it for, just go back and forth. And see, this is your stomach. I'm not even. You don't have to do split. So we're going to see me get. I keep hearing about a fight in Boston on September 12th. I want to go into it. But I don't know how. I haven't been training so long because I lost my trainer. And a little bit before that, I started asking for help because there are various natures of course, police forms, and foreign and domestic military who were making confessions to me. I didn't explain to them, but the identity of the ground locations they were making confessions about, and they were used by investigators, and vetting identities, and investigations of that, identities of the law that are criminally foreign influenced, including they're all the three branches of government, including both political parties and the alternatives. And they pretend other as state locations, areas, and states as styles of positive and negative treatment nature. They can't defend that and afford to have mandated law followed. They can't afford to have logic, short words, and short words proper. So they can't afford correlation nature's words, actively and progressively, increasingly, insidiously, / overtly sickly. So when you hear problems in the news, and when you hear good in the news, that's in collusion. That's why people get sick of watching the news. That's why a lot more people die with the coronavirus than they had to. And still, because we have the identity of the ground locations where we have to go to get help for things, originally still in collusion, but it's where everyone speaks through others, and everyone works on faith of the identity of the law associated with this. So we have doctors who have badges also, who are involved with some sick crimes and crime methods that are intercampuses of each age and nature. The whole time they've had male and females roles with these interreligious spots with sick child abuses of juxtaposed natures. See, they separate natures of things, then they defend their roles with doing that afterwards too. Like when now recently on television they've been ads for the if you were raped by, or you were sexually abused by the Cub Scouts. So they have the Cub Scouts in there, but they have the Cub Scouts in that whole thing, in the networks putting those advertisements. They have types of lawyers in collusion with the same things they're trying to go against, with the same people involved with that. I caught people with it that are further before they got caught off campus anyway. They hid what I caught by fabricating audio and video. What I caught on and off campuses connected, on and off religious spots connected, intercities too, through time. So that's what I've been asking for a response, because the Wethersfield Police, New Britain Superior Court, they're involved with switching names and forging names. Now they're involved with this with Hartford courts too, leading up to the World Trade Center. In that context, Washington, D.C. and the Pentagon and World Trade Center had roles with programs that ties to the syntax of people in courts. That ties to the syntax of relationships to, like, the training of experts with each of the sciences, abridged, delusions wrought and criminally foreign influence premises treatments to be exploited, where and how they have to defend their roles with the perfect world forsaken as victims, defend their roles as victim predators, with their defenses of their fact treatments, positive, negative, uses of other people's names are sick. So we have to have the interbranch put onto paper for one name and sequence, because the interbranch are working there now as career prosecutors and such like that. They were raised to it. They were already involved with predicate acts and with identity thefts and frauds when they were little kids. They were already involved with databases involved predicate acts, which are illusions relevant to their roles with lie progressions from those spots. Standing positions of and natures of discorrelation need as integrity, as the law, needed to pretend other as it, not by accident, that being and having been used remotely. So WFSB is also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with wire crime methods, acts with them, and with the people who answer their phones. They have crime methods of pretending everyone said, then they make allegations about what you said to them, and instead of focusing on the specific acts. WFSB attached me to fake communications with them, and they sequence shifted and attached me and other kids and myself as an adult too to fake locations through time. And now they did this with people that are on the Child Defender Registry. Before that was caught, there was more than now with them on off the child campuses, and with connections between each of the campuses in town, and with other campuses and locations next to them, and with connections to that intercities. So they have a headache now, because they have people use my name where everyone speaks through others. All exceptions in exception nature were recorded to have been set up for them to pretend exception nature, per their crime methods, where they use the interbranch locations to fabricate audio and video, even though other audio and video is actually recorded. Wethersfield Police have the name Sullivan involved with them with intercities, locations of identity thefts and frauds, and wire crimes, mail crimes, falsified police reports rolls, and with people with town offices, and they confessed and recorded. So we have to get the judges and prosecutors involved with the police forms also. These are former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, a lot of people tied to him. Since before the World Trade Center attack, I caught them using people, Connecticut gyms, and with narratives all tied to the same house, involved now with their extended family members, further involved with the child offenders, further involved with predicate acts on and off Trinity College and CCSU connected, and with confessions that delayed my reactions to everything while there's forging names and switching names. Uses of Facebook for roles with that, like deans, because they're also how they use the identities of the ground locations and its stewards, pretending they're defending. Well, I have to defend the name of WFSB. WFSB is criminally pretending they care about WFSB, so they could hide how mandated law is offensively prevented by sick natures of the law associated with them. Also privately, a Trantolo and Trantolo. Also, they make people with locations, areas, states needing to have fights with each other, needing to have unity with each other in relationship to negative value and aggression. Well, that's all in collusion. Fake sides of correlation natures, Trinity, we'll examine. So we have to examine the physical delusions of doctors, intersciences, and interbranch, and with other nations at once, because we started admitting equality of fact, treatment, nature, what is actually recorded here It endangers ourselves from being able to counter where and how they have all kinds of ways we're shared, like even with kids. They go abroad and opposite here, and they're shared on and off campuses where they're already involved with other natures of organized crime, way worse than war crimes, but they're also bonded. And they're also bonded roles with training police forms. And where they have that life progressions tied to that self-value. Right back onto campuses note. So there are people involved with, per them, involved with my town's police chief, named and his family, named Joey Quest, that is also involved with foreign and domestic families on and off the Wethersfield Library, on and off Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut, on and off fire departments involved with them, and on and off, private businesses associated with them, and where they use other people's names. And they made exceptions where I would see their face and know them. So if you be polite to people in life and stuff like that, they exploit people who are in collusion with the interbranch foreign in collusion with overt criminal enterprises and private ones. You ever wonder why they're so stupid, fake, when it comes to why and how the people of forsaken locations and value nature systems have no voice, and everyone's offensively with passions pretending it's on other, like color. You can't defend American history with science without explaining how those laws that were set up for that then and for that now too, to be pretended. Instead of us using science, those are tactically, breaching method employed, identity ground relationships as a value/value progression we are, as a quality of diffusion that is positive or negative to itself, a perfect value nature system. So it's all right that the scientists want to have opinions of individually grouped and together formally, but we have to counter them with the interbranch, forging names, switching names, fabricating letters, all kinds of planting of fabricated evidence and illusions with locations so they can bring things back into courts, or so they can get away with locations crimes that they have collusion with the executive police forms that are also recorded with the regular police. Where they have the name police, there are police types, even in the same departments. And how they have this shared with other identities of the law and the training of that. It's all corrupt. Including the prisons, recorded involved with crimes with children with them as adults when they were involved with predicate acts against kids with adult men and women when they were kids. That's how they keep sick people in collusion, kept needing to hide the same sequence shifts, the same finite, active, progressive lies, identity thefts and frauds. With the interbranch, they need to hide that every day, because every time they open their mouth, they're lying to themselves and others. That's what's really recorded. Every modern nation at once, too. So they value how, if we start admitting that by discerning that through them, which we have to do it through the people around us, the locations, areas, states around us, then it makes them incapable of defending themselves at fact, treatment, nature-oriented levels, where and how they have things that, like war and like negative value nature progressions, acts and natures that they never had the sophistication to address, let alone to counter. So they use anything bad or good in collusion, needing to pretend their integrity still, and they're quoting how long they did with the job, whatever like that. They leave out all those the extortion, those things they're involved with. It's a joke. What they built, well, that's people stacking. It's all that they train people to politics. They're victim predators. They came through brainwashed. Both political parties talk like that. Then they want to have passions, emotions with that. So they want to have a fight about premises treatments, where at the same time they won't follow mandated law. Then they pretending other people are having conspiracy theories, are making theory. That's all their opinions and convictions. They pretend other people have delusions. They have the physical delusions. They have no fucking evidences. Excuse my language. They use fake evidence. So we have to have mandated law. So we have Wethersfield police over the last few months with more officers now, with the name Sullivan. Now these are intercities officers, Wethersfield, Connecticut. Hartford, Connecticut has a Sullivan family, also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with a Cololo family that the officer Sullivan recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. Also with 2 Mendez police. I never had a conversation with the older one. I never had a conversation with the other one. Only know him in context where he demonstrated, confirmed, where everyone's speaking through other. He was used for involved with predicate acts. His brother attached me to fake communications with his brother on the Wethersfield Police Department. So their family has been involved with attaching little kids to fake locations. A bunch with a house tied to a bunch of doctors that is involved with drug crimes with the kids, attaching other kids to those locations and ties to those kids who sold the drugs and used the drugs that never even had anything to do with them. And they try to film exceptions. Now, I never had a conversation with my algebra teacher personally that wasn't like a group conversation. And if whatever they try to talk is fake. With an algebra class in high school, that algebra class had a domain, a Mike domain. There's a domain family and our people that live around them. Also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with Jonathan Maiano and others with the prosecutors and judges criminally involved. So if there's a context, they pretended I knew him and they were filming that so they could pretend me in other contexts tied him that weren't at all. And they tried to make illusions of one. In other words, in the past, because they had judges and prosecutors then criminally involved with a Rick C.M. Faglione, also involved with a whole bunch of people like a Zeno family and others on off the Central Connecticut State University, on off Trinity College, roles with predicate acts with them. And some woman I don't know the name of when she was a little girl, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with predicate acts with investigators and investigations. That now she has friends that are friends with like federal criminals that were a part of bad things that she was pretending other people are part of. And in other words, those are my classmates. They had roles with classmates with my town's police chief's daughter, and the prosecutors and you know their family members then and now still involved with that. Identity thefts and frauds. You can't see that it's about identity theft and fraud. Clear as day, black and white. That's not debatable. Someone wants to debate that, they're going to hide lies progressions. They're going to hide physical delusions. They're going to hide criminally foreign influence premises treatment, self-value, criminally foreign influence sequence treatment, self-value. So what people involved with exploiting black people need to do, they need to pretend other, where they're involved with exploiting legally, and with their roles with investigations, investigators, and vetting identities. So for example, they have inclusion, where they have black people employed as fake representatives of the majority of black people, of anyone, and they're involved with sequence shifts and with identity thefts and frauds against legitimate correlation with Wethersfield, Connecticut through time. They used as victims, but as victim predators, various black families and KKK, Confederate flag themed military families that are involved with the identity thefts and frauds with the interbranch leading up to the World Trade Center attack and since. Also relevant to their on-campuses and private, simultaneously vertical and horizontal relevant predicate acts and natures of organized crime, worse than war crimes. But I'm not even a lawyer. They have a Trantola and Trantola, they have other lawyers through time also criminally involved with them, where they separate types of crimes because they have roles with the types of experts where and how originally instilled the types of identities of the law. Identity of the ground locations were used remotely, not for evil, but for criminal and seditious natures of positive, for breaching screen and tool, where one breaching method was causing all the negative value nature progressions, action natures, and building everyone reliant upon them blamed on other things other than themselves. Breaching screen. This is not just using these words. This is science. This is American science that you have not heard because our founders lost on many fronts. They left us to demonstrate they didn't have free speech to overcome. So we're supposed to use free speech and mandated law to demonstrate the bonded natures of organized crime upon the most forsaken areas, for example, where it's easiest to discern. So, if they want to have a representative, make it real. Vaccine. Who thinks they can represent those big people stacking locations of America and other nations simultaneously? Because we're going to hand our nation's leaders, we're going to hand them the locations, areas, and states aware of how we've been played. And on the same page, the entire species identity of volume at once. Watch what we could do. We'll reveal an identity of the ground, relationship to itself, the perfect world's perfect value/value progression that reveals evolution's fruits and gifts and means from nowhere.